What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we'll be hunting a $500 box of quarters. Half dollars have been a little tough to come by in my area of late. I've been getting the coin shortage excuse, but quarters seem to be pretty plentiful. This is a different kind of box. I think these are the NA String & Sons. These I don't see too often yet, or they're NF String & Son. I don't see these too often. I usually get Loomis and Brinks boxes. So I'm excited to get into these. I've already looked over the entire box for the enders. I have no silver. I have no proofs. I have no W's to speak of. And I didn't see any new quarters in here either, like the new 2022 quarters, at least not on the enders. So I'm looking forward to getting into this box. So hopefully you are too. So let's jump into it. So if you are new to coin roll hunting, I do have a link in my description down below that has every type of coin that I hunt, whether it be pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, or halves. You could focus in on the quarter section for this video. But mainly we're looking for silver, which would be anything 1964 and earlier. We are looking for W's, which were West Point minted quarters, and they were limited mintage for 2019 and 2020 only. And then we're looking for a whole host of varieties and errors within the set of quarters. So there's a ton of state quarter errors, basically that's I say states, but some of it's the national park quarters and even some of the new 2021 and 2022 quarters. Those are listed on that document. For many of those errors, you will want some sort of magnification tool. A really good magnifying glass will do. I use this handy dandy pluggable digital microscope that I got on Amazon.com. A link to that device is in the description down below, and it's my Amazon affiliate link. So if you purchase it using that link, I will get a small donation from Amazon on that. It's something like, I don't know, $1 out of the purchase. It's not a whole lot, but every little bit helps, right? So with that said, let's go ahead and open one roll together and go through it. And I'll just kind of show you guys how I go through a roll of quarters, what I look for. I did this in my last quarter video and it was really appreciated by a lot of people, so I figured I would do it again. So let's see here. The first thing we want to do is inspect the edges for silver. Silver is really easy to find because it will be a really kind of white or kind of very silvery gray edge. You won't see the clad line in there. Be careful with quarters because a lot of foreign coins that are the same size as quarters will have that same edge. So a lot of times it'll be like a Canadian quarter or something like that. Before you toss those foreign coins back though, make sure you check because Canadian coins too were made out of silver before a certain date. And I'm sure there were a lot of foreign coins that are, outside of US and Canada that are the same. So as I'm going through the coins, I like to do it this way. I kind of lay them out and then I pick up about half just to go through them to make it easy. This is a 2019. I knew from looking at the back, the War in the Pacific, and we want to check that mint mark. And I'm kind of zoomed out here, but just to show you where on the coin, let's see here. The mint mark on these new quarters is going to be right here on the front, and you're looking for a W, and that W should jump out at you. You shouldn't need any kind of magnification to see it. You're going to see a P for Philly, you're going to see a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, and that comes in a business strike as well as a clad proof. And there's also a silver proof, the S mint mark. But we are also looking for that W. The War in the Pacific, I think, is pretty valuable. So if you find a W War in the Pacific, that is a great find in a box of quarters. So we're just going to go through these real quick, and I will call out if there's anything interesting that I look for. So far, not so much. I will also say I have found that the Denver quarters generally look better than my Philly quarters. I think the manufacturing process is just nicer in Denver. They have a shinier surface. So here's a coin that, oh, sorry, I was zoomed in for all that. Hopefully that still looked okay for you. But this bicentennial, or bicentennials in general, I hang on to all bicentennials because people do collect them. This one's dirty, and it is a Denver. The mint mark is right here, and there is a DDO in the bicentennial Denver coin, and it shows up in the words Liberty here. I'm going to just set this aside, and I'll check them later and bring you in if I do have one. But the doubling is pretty stark here in the word liberty. It's really easy to see in the E and the R and the T. I have never found one, but they are really, really valuable if you do. So hopefully one day I'll find one on camera. So here's another 2020 date on the back. This is the March Billings, and it is a Denver. So no W mint mark there. Here's another 2019 American Memorial Park. I know this is one of the more valuable W's. I use eBay to check current sale prices on these things, and some of these will go as high as $20 and $30, even in circulated condition. So we've got a Denver mint mark there. No W on that last one. Now the Arizona, this is the 2008, does have an error where and a lot of times you can see it with the naked eye, the designer's initials are right here at the base of the cactus. And there is an error where an extra cactus, or it's a die chip really, it looks like an extra cactus though, is over the initials of the designer. So I was just checking this out on the microscope, and this is not one of the errors, but, and you could probably see that I'm zoomed in. I just can't see my camera as well as you can on the playback. But if there's that die chip over the initials, that coin ends up being $1 or $2, maybe $3 on eBay. So I hang on to all my Arizonas that have that error. So here we have a Salt River Bay, which I believe that's a 2020. The 2020s, again, we're looking for that W. If it has the W, you'll see a V75. It's called a privy over here on the left-hand side. That's something else you can look for. Look at that. We have another bicentennial. It is a Philadelphia because we have no mint mark. That does not have a DDO, if I recall. So we're going to keep on going. We got 3 quarters left in this first roll. When you hunt quarters, you will find there are some rolls with absolutely nothing to look at, and you will find other rolls like this one where we got to stop and look at a half dozen coins or so. Surprised we didn't see any 2021s or 2022s, but that's how I look through my quarters. So it's not that hard once you know what you're looking for. So I'm going to get into probably the next 5 or 10 rolls, and then I'll bring you back in for another one. We just cracked into roll number 27. Before we get to that, I did want to stop and let you guys know that I've found a whole bunch of bicentennials. That middle row is Philadelphia bicentennials. That outside row there with 5 coins in it, they're all Denver bicentennials. A lot of them are pretty dirty. And I have a couple of the crossing the Delaware errors where we have the little die chip on the hat. I'll review that at the end. It's not real exciting because I find them a lot. But I wanted to bring you in here for roll number 27 because as I opened the roll and threw away the paper, I saw something silvery in there. Hopefully you guys can see that near the back end of the coin roll there. Let's check it out together. Oftentimes this ends up being a foreign, like a Canadian, but let's check it out. Let's see what we got here. Let me even zoom in. And it's silver. We have ourselves a 1964, I believe a Philly. Nope, it is a Denver. That's right. On the 64s and earlier, the mint mark is on the back. But look at that. We've got some silver in a box of quarters. This is actually pretty tough to do. I mean, there's a lot of people that hunt a lot of boxes of quarters. And sometimes people go all year and only find 4 or 5. So anytime you can find silver in a box of quarters, you are doing fantastic. I'll take it. So we're getting into roll 45 here, and I got the paper off, and something looks awfully silvery in the middle. And like I said, this could be silver, could be something foreign. Let's check it out together. And it is Canadian. Like I said, it's an 1873 to 1973. This must be their bicentennial quarter. So first forward on the box, it does look silvery. I don't believe it is. I'm going to look it up because I do know that it's been a while since I checked on my Canadians. I know at a certain year, they were made out of like 40% silver and then up to like 80% silver. So I'm going to go Google this real quick and see where we land. So a quick Google search has shown me that this quarter is in fact a I won't say variety, it is a commemorative. It has a centennial design. As I said, it has 1873 to 1973, and it does have a pretty rare variety. It has a large bust and a small bust variety. The other cool thing about the coin, which we'll get to, I'll bring you back over to the mat and show you, but it features the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So this was a single year only release for this commemorative. It does not have any silver value, but the two different reverses, the large bust is actually pretty darn valuable. Just looking down here at the bottom of the article, I think a graded version of this, there's only about 10,000 of them in known existence. Of the large bust design, and if I'm reading it right, where did it go? It's down at the bottom. I want to say it went for like, oh, it's way down here. Sold for like $384. But the big difference between the two, on the large bust version, you'll see that the beading around the coin is really, really close to the edge. And in the small bust, the beading is much, much closer to the head and further away from the rim. The other way you can tell is that the A in the word Regina on the large bust points directly at a bead, and the A in the small bust points between two beads. And there's less beads, I want to say, on the small bust. It's like 132 beads versus 120 beads. But let's get back over here to the mat and check out my quarter here. Let's zoom in. So you can see here our beading is very, very far away from the rim. I do not believe this to be the large bust variety. Here's that reverse again of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So this is a pretty cool commemorative. I'm probably going to flip this up. I've never found one of these before. It's not in great shape. You can see there's scratches and hash marks through it. But this is pretty cool. I have a lot of Canadian coins that I've found coin roll hunting. I don't think I've ever found anything too valuable other than a couple of silver quarters in the past. But I think this one's pretty cool, so I'm going to hang on to it. Getting into roll, I think this is 46 here, and we have one of the main things we've been looking for this whole box, and it has finally come to fruition. We have found a W, a West Mint quarter. We can tell it's a 2020 already because you can see that V75 privy over here. And this thing's in pretty good shape. We've got a little bit of damage. It looks like maybe here on the bottom of the bust, but it's in a really shiny condition. What do we have here? We have a 2020 Salt River Bay. I don't think this is one of the more valuable quarters. I'll look that up on eBay in the wrap-up, but usually a minimum of about $10 or $12 for a W on eBay. Cool. We'll add it to the board up here under our silver and keep on hunting. So we are on that same roll, 41. We're just a little bit deeper. I've actually already peeled the quarter off and have it under the scope here. This is one of the Homestead quarters, and I want to take you over here to the computer and show you guys what we're looking for. This Homestead has a million errors on it. One of them that we look for is called Snow on the Roof. It's a bunch of like die chips or remnants from the minting process where you have some extra metal up there on the roof. Those 6 window bays in that pump oftentimes have a lot of doubling on them, and if you go to varietyvista.com, you can look all those up. There's like, 185 double dies. But the main thing we look for is called the leaky bucket. And you can see down here at the bottom that we have a bunch of extra metal connected to the bottom of the bucket, and it comes on down the hill underneath the pump. So it looks like that bucket is leaking, and the water has gone all the way down and is collecting down there at the bottom of the pump. Now, you can find sometimes where you just have a little bit of metal on the bottom of the bucket or a little bit on the bottom of the pump. But if you can find one where you've got both, it can oftentimes be a little more valuable on eBay. And I'll find some comps and list those for you so you see. So I've cracked into roll number 48, and I bring you in because I've got a really, really thick edge, and I have already checked this, so I know that it is something I wanted to show you, so I'm giving you a little bit of a reenactment. But this super thick edge here, especially on like $50, is a telltale sign of a proof, and when I checked this one, I was pleasantly surprised to find that we have a San Francisco clad proof, not a business strike. This is a proof. You can tell from the mirror finish. Now, this has gone through circulation, so it's got, it's a little beat up. but you can just really see that glossy mirror finish on this coin. The business strike would look more like a regular matted coin and have that S mint mark. But the proofs definitely all have this shiny finish. Now, it is clad. It has a copper edge on it, so there's no silver content value. These are meant to be pristine. They're really only worth a lot of money when they're in kind of pristine condition or still in the proof sets. But proofs are things coin roll hunters typically pull and hang on to. It's something I'll keep and flip up and just put in my little box that, you know, of all the things I've ever found over the years coin roll hunting. So here we go. San Francisco clad, Wyoming, 2007. I do know that there is a little DDR on this particular coin in at least the regular Philadelphia and Denver's. I don't check for it very often because it's a really minor DDR here on the rope or the whatever you call that when you ride a Bronco, part of the saddle, I guess. But it's not a variety that I typically look for, but I do know it exists. All right. Well, our board is filling up quite nicely. We'll go through it all here at the end. I've got really just 3 rolls left to go. So we have reached the end of the box, and I wanted to go through my finds, and we're going to put a few of these under the scope for you so you can see what some of the errors or varieties were. But we did have this small bust 1973 commemorative Royal Canadian Mounted Police quarter from Canada. No silver value, but a pretty cool find. Unfortunately, it is the small bust instead of the large bust, otherwise there'd be some money in that. We did have our 1964 Denver silver quarter. This is 90%, so at today's spot price, this would be about, well, spot price plus premiums that people are still getting, this is probably about a $4.50 to $5 coin. I'll throw melt value up there based on Coinflation or CoinApp so you can see that. We did find our handy dandy W here, Salt River Bay 2020 with our V75 Privy. Again, I'll throw an eBay comp up there. We have a San Francisco clad proof. I've been finding a lot of San Francisco business strikes lately, but this is my first proof quarter in some time, so very excited to have that. Over here on the side, we did end up with, I think it was about 11, and there were a couple of these were pretty nice. Let me zoom back in. We had about 11, I think, or I should call them bicentennial Philadelphia quarters. The little drummer boy on the back. I do hang on to these and from time to time sell them on eBay. It's been a long time since I've sold any rolls. I'm probably up to, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 rolls of these things. But I hang on to them. And we did end up with, I believe it was like 7 or 8 Denver bicentennial quarters. The Denvers were a little more chewed up. I did check them all for the DDO and none of them had it. If we did have a DDO bicentennial, that would be some really, really good money. The last thing I have, and I'm going to take us over to the scope just to point out what we're looking at because I didn't bring you in the middle of the video, but I had 3 of the Crossing the Delaware die chip on the hat errors. These are only worth a couple of bucks now on eBay, but I just wanted to show you what you're looking for under the scope. We did have 1 extra Cactus Arizona. I know I did not bring you in when I found that because I find these all the time as well. But if you're new to coin roll hunting, I like showing you what you're looking for. And I did bring you in and show you the leaky bucket, but I'll definitely put a comp on the screen so you can see kind of what that's going for. The coin's not in the best of shape, but we'll just kind of show you what people are getting on eBay. So let's get over to the computer and check these things out. Okay, so the first quarter that I wanted to go through was the Crossing the Delaware quarter. Now, this is a regular Washington Crossing the Delaware quarter. And you can see right here, we have a very clean hat, nice even lines. This is what the hat is supposed to look like. And I'll one by one show you the 3 coins that I pulled aside. You can see here that we have a big giant die chip kind of down here in the crook of the hat. Now, the larger this die chip is, the more valuable typically the quarter's worth. And this die chip I've seen up here, I've seen it here, I've seen it up here on the hat. But typically if you find one that's kind of this whole space, they're worth quite a bit of money. When they first started being found, they were worth hundreds of dollars. I think they've settled down a little bit. But just understand this little die chip does add some value to this quarter. That's the first one. They all look a little similar. But here is the second one. You can see this chip was a little bit smaller. I have found a bunch of these. I don't always hang on to the little die chips if they're small. I will typically throw them back. But something like this I would hang on to. This is a pretty sizable die chip. So of those three, I might hang on to one or two. You could also see here, this one I just noticed that this has a little bit of the die clash in it as well. I've gone through that in a previous video, but this is actually from like a, it's either a die clash or a strike through, but it's basically part of Washington's neck showing through on the back of the quarter right here. So that's actually a die chip and a die clash, so we're definitely hanging on to that one. As for values on that, they're a little bit all over the place. I've just put in eBay the Washington quarter Delaware die chip on the hat. And you know, you'll see, depending on the size, this guy got $3.99 plus almost $2 in shipping. Now keep in mind, eBay is going to take about 15% of that. Here's $3.25. Here's somebody that found the die chip on the back of the head, a little bit more. So, you know, these are things you just kind of put out there, and you might get lucky and get a bunch of money. You might not. You might only get $1 or $2. So like here's somebody that, you know, granted it's a horrible picture, but they got $1 with free shipping, so they're probably going to lose money on that quarter. So that's why I don't hang on to all of them. The next coin I want to go through that I found, and again, this is just a regular version, but I want you to be able to compare and contrast, but this is what it's supposed to look like. We have this little arch underneath the cactus, and I think it's JIM or JFM. I think it's JIM, which are the engraver's initials. And there is a die chip error, commonly called the extra cactus error, where you get a die chip right here, and it looks like any one of these other little cactuses that is covered either entirely or partially the initials. So this is actually like a much bigger die chip than normal, or at least that I normally see. And I've already pulled that up for you here on eBay. And again, here we are, $2.59, $3.49. This one looks a little bit like mine. This guy got $6 with free shipping. You know, here's somebody that only got $1. 17 is really, really good. It's been a long time since I've seen somebody get that much money. And in the past, when I looked these up, I used to always see $2 or $3. I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever sold any of these extra cactus. I've probably got a whole tube of them. But one of these days, I'm sure I'll offload them. The last quarter that I want to go through from an error perspective, and I've talked about this in a ton of videos, it's one of the most common quarter errors that I find. I went over it earlier in the video, but I just wanted to show it again so you got an idea of what we have here. So die chip under the bucket, die chip under the pump. This is a little more sought after version because a lot of times it's either here or here, but not in both. And I went ahead and pulled up on eBay, and we can look at all of them. So this is just sort of under the bucket, $4, $4. Here's a very minor one for $3. But when you get into a little bit bigger die chips, we're talking $10. And I want to say down here a little ways, I found somebody that had it on both. Now, I don't know what they accepted, but they were listing it for $21.89. I would love to know what they got. Here's somebody that got $6, and they had the die chip in both places, $15.95. So these quarters can be pretty darn lucrative. I guess while I have you here on the computer, let's go ahead and look up that 2020 Salt River Bay W. And here it is, you know, $14 with 53 cents. Here's $13 with free shipping, $13 with free shipping. So, you know, in an ungraded state, I think you're pretty fair saying it's about a $12 to $14 coin. Obviously graded, they can get much more valuable. And typically when you find these in circulation, they are not going to grade super duper high. This is an MS67, so that's pretty rare. This one honestly looks fantastic, and the guy got $15 with the included shipping. So that's always a win. And the last thing I will go ahead and pull up here is coin apps. If you're unfamiliar with coin apps and you do stack silver, collect silver coins, even if you get bars or rounds or anything like that, this is a great place to go to price all of your various coins and metal. I will come here into silver. We had a 1964 Kennedy, and we just had the one. So I was, for some reason, way off on, oh, I'm sorry, that is the $50. I'm in the wrong spot. That's why that looked funny. We're going to put 1/4 in here. That's better. So melt value were $3.96. I am still seeing people on Facebook getting about 20 times face, 19.5 times face. So I think you could very easily sell that quarter closer to about $5, $4.50 to $5. So anyway, that was a really, really good haul for a single box of quarters, in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed this one. I do love it when I have a box and there's lots to talk about and lots to show you because I think it's interesting for me and for you. And if you're new to coin roll hunting, hopefully you learn something. And that's kind of the point of my channel. It's to share my experience and hopefully share my knowledge, share some education, and get other people excited in the hobby. So if you did like this video, please do consider dropping down below and clicking on that like button. Leave me a comment while you're there. Love to hear from my audience. And if you're not a subscriber of the channel, which about 70% of you that view my videos are not, please go ahead and click on that subscribe button. It's free, doesn't cost you a dime. Click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. You guys, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad I'm back and hopefully don't have any more vacations or crazy life emergencies. I'm looking forward to getting back into the hobby and getting a couple, 2 or 3 videos out a week. So look for some more videos over the coming days. You guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.